when they tell us my midpoint is actually -2, 1, and C is actually -5, 7. We don't know what D is yet. We got to figure that out. So I guess the first step in this process is let's start graphing some things. So my midpoint is -2, up 1. That's my midpoint. And then C is -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the x direction. Then I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's my point C, and that occurs at -5, 7. Okay, pretty cool. Now there's two ways to do this. I'm going to show you the quick, easy way that you should do on the SAT, and I'm going to show you the algebraic way that you have to do on my test. Okay, which is coming up soon. You're welcome. So what you're going to do is you can take your straight edge and just draw this line and just keep on drawing it for a while. Okay, now you could cheat. You could go, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then over 1, 2, 3. Now, if M is the midpoint, what do you think I would do? Go down 6 from here. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go over 1, 2, 3. And it crosses right there. So this is technically where it is. And if I look at that, that's going to be 1, -5.
Negative.
Yeah, it's -5, I think. Because we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. I know the numbers are off a little bit. They come before where they're supposed to be. So now that's what that's supposed to be. But now I want to use this midpoint formula. And so the midpoint formula says that M, which is -2, 1, should equal x sub 1 plus x sub 2 all over 2, comma, y sub 2 plus y sub 1 all over 2. Ran out a little room there. Now what that means, and I'm gonna scroll down just a little bit here. Okay. That means that this should equal all this stuff. So I'm going to write over here -2 should equal x sub 1. Well, this is my x sub 1, right? And this is y sub 1. It should equal x sub 1, which is -5 plus x sub 2 all over 2. And we just have to solve for x sub 2, right? So let's do that. Multiply both sides by 2. These cancel. And I get -4 is equal to -5 plus x sub 2. Add 5 to both sides. And guess what I get? 1 is equal to x sub 2. Well, that's right. This is x sub 2.
Mr. Adam,
Yes?
how did, okay, so D, how did you get that again?
How did I get this?
Yeah.
Well, we kind of cheated, right? I'm just showing you how to do it real quick if you're taking the SAT and you want to do it real quick. What I did is I said, all right, the question was, how did you come up with this? This point here for D. Well, what I did is I said, well, if this is C and this is the midpoint, and I went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I went over 1, 2, 3 to get to the midpoint, then I probably need to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then over 1, 2, 3 to get to D. Right?
So what does it say the answer is?
Well, it's 1 is equal to x sub 2, right? Because if I take negative 4 and add 5, that gives me 1. These cancel, and I'm left with x sub 2. So my x sub 2 is 1, which is what we figured out by the graph. Now what you guys don't know is that this distance, we'll talk about this in a second, but really what we have is I have a triangle where this is 6 and this is 3, right? And that's a right triangle. And this is the hypotenuse. So this we're not asked to do this in this case, but we could use the Pythagorean theorem and get the length of the hypotenuse. But if I go down 6 and over 3 both times, my hypotenuse would be the same. That means that this line segment and this line segment are congruent, which by definition means that this is the midpoint. Okay? Well, that's a lot of stuff. Or you could just use the formula. Okay?
And then for why did you use -2?
Because that is -2 was the midpoint given to us. So the midpoint is
So
basically...
M always equals.
Yeah, so m equals this formula, and what I did is I said, well, -2 is the x part of the formula, so -2 should equal this x sub 1 plus x sub 2. I'm just starting to run out of room on my board. Okay? Does that make sense? So maybe you could help me with this next part. I'm going to erase the x work, and now we're going to do the y work. You guys ready? I'll try to make it a little nicer and neater. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm saying that this is the y-coordinate for the midpoint, which means it should plug into this formula. Does that make sense to you guys? So I would say that 1 should be equal to y sub 1, which is 7, right? 7 plus y sub 2 all over 2. Does that make sense? Okay. So now I'm going to take this whole thing and multiply it by 2, and whatever I do on one side of the equation, I have to do on the other. Well, if I'm multiplying by 2 and dividing by 2, those two kind of cancel each other out, right? And then I'm left with 2 is equal to 7 plus y sub 2. And we want to know what y sub 2 is, because y sub 2 is what we're solving for. So I can find that by subtracting 7 from both sides. These cancel. And what's 2 minus 7? Yeah, so we would say that -5 is equal to y sub 2. So that's a second way. Actually, this is the way the book is teaching you. They want you to do all this work, which is fine. That's what you'll need to do on the test. But I also wanted to teach you a couple extra things. This is a real quick way to do it, just to count the rise over run to get to this point, to get to the next point.